Good morning, students. In today's class of Managing Change in Organization, we'll continue with the forces of change. We have already discussed certain factors or certain forces of change in the previous class. The forces of change can be two types: external forces of changes and internal forces of changes. External forces of changes are those factors that pressurize the organized to change, and these factors are not under the control of the organization. These are external or outside the organization that impact the organization or pressure the organization or force the organization to change. In the previous class, we have studied about the certain external forces of change. That is how the marketplace forces changes in the marketplace forces the organizations to change. Then we have studied about the technological factors or technological forces of change, where we have studied that how the changes in technology impacts the organization and the organization is compelled to change. Then we have also studied about the social factors that causes change in the organization. We have studied about the global factors, how the various cultures and other things impacts the change. The global companies that operate, they are impacted by these global factors of change or global forces of change. Then we have also talked about what are the various natural factors or natural forces of change that impact the organization. There are another two factors that we are going to study in external forces of change, that is economic factors and ethical factors. Or economic forces of change are ethical forces of change. Apart from the external forces of change, there is another force of change, which is known as internal forces of change. These are the various factors which are inside the organization that pressurize the organization or force the organization to bring about change in the organization. So, in a way, these factors are inside the control of the organization, over which the organization has control, and the organization can manage these factors in order to bring about change in the organization and make the organization much more efficient and effective. So in today's class, we'll study about the remaining two external forces of change factors, and also the complete what are the various factors, internal forces of change that impact the organization. That's what we're going to study in this class. So let us start the class. In the external forces of change, the seventh point is the economic factors. How the economic factors impact an organization to change. Under the economic factors, economic forces influence the organization's change management strategy. How? By either presenting opportunities or challenges in the form of economic uncertainties or growing competitive pressure. So these economic factors of change or economic forces of factors, which are the external forces of change, they impact the organization to change by way of two ways. First is by giving an opportunity for the organization to change, or posing as a challenge in the form of economic uncertainties or growing competitive pressures. An organization, in order to earn more profit, in order to get more market share, in order to become a bigger organization, better organization, uh, due to this, it may take it as an opportunity and want to change, make changes in the organization. Similarly, these economic factors may come by the way of challenges, like there is economic uncertainties or growing competitive pressure. These also pressurize the organization to make changes in the organization. So it either may come as opportunity or challenge. The changes in economic conditions. If you say there are changes in economic conditions, what are the various changes that take place in the economic condition, or the various economic factors? These are like exchange rate and interest rate fluctuations. Okay, these things impact fiscal and monetary policies. These are also not under the control. Fiscal and the monetary policies, that these also change. Inflation and cost of living necessitate change in the organizational policies. Similarly, inflation and the cost, the living cost, standard of living, the cost of living that increases. All these things puts an organization under pressure to make changes. So this exchange rate and the interest rate fluctuations, the fiscal and monetary policies, inflation and the cost of living, these are some of the factors, economic factors that bring the organization or force the organization to bring about change in the policies of the organization. So this comes under the economic factors. Now another factor that causes or pressurize a company to change or organization to change is the ethical factors. Employees face ethical dilemmas in their daily work lives. Every employee who is working in the organization generally faces certain ethical dilemmas about how to do the work, what decisions to take, whether it is right or wrong. So this dilemma is always there. The need to manage the ethical behavior has brought about several changes in the organization. We, since these employees face various ethical dilemmas in the organization, we try to manage this ethical behavior of the employees, because if we don't manage the ethical behavior of employees, it may cause problem to the organization. So there is a need to manage the ethical behavior, and for this several changes takes place in the organization. The organization must create a culture that encourages ethical behavior. So ethical behavior is something we it has to be a part of the culture of the organization. If the people are ethical, they will follow what is right, they will do what is right, they will not indulge in any malpractice. So this ethical behavior should be imbibed, should be a part of the culture of the organization. So that is very much essential. The society expects organizations to maintain ethical behavior both internally and in relationship with other organizations. Since we have studied already, we know that the organizations operate in society and they have to operate by the rules and regulations of the society if they want to survive. So the society expects that the organization maintain the ethical behavior so that they will produce right products and services, and they will not try to con or create fraud. So this is very important. So this ethical behavior that is the society expects from the organization, and this may be both internally how the organization operates and also externally relationship with other workers. So the society expects that there should be the ethical behavior in the organization. This forces the organization to make about changes in the policies, the strategies, so as to manage the ethical behavior of the people. Ethical behavior is expected in relations with customers, environment, and society. Since the organization plays or the organization operates in the society, the expected ethical behavior is expected in relationship with customers, because you should be very free, frank, and not be telling, try to defrauding the customers, and also not creating any type of problems to the environment and the society in which you operate. So this is the ethical behavior, and these expectations may be informal or they may be come in form of increased legal requirements. So there are maybe formal pressure for these ethical factors or forces of change, or informal. In informal is that it is accepted informally that they should behave in an ethical manner. Apart from that, they may be in a formal way, it may be in the form of legal requirements, laws, environmental laws are there, the corporate social responsibility of the companies is there. So in this way, various laws are also in place to see that the company do not deviate from their ethical behavior, and see that the company operates under the various norms, regulations of the organization. So both formal and informal expectations are there on the organization to maintain or manage the ethical behavior. So this ethical behavior also is important, and this factor also impacts an organization and the organization to make changes in the policies and strategies, so as to maintain this ethical behavior in the organization and to operate ethically in the society. So these are the various external forces of change. Now we'll start with the various internal forces of change. As we have already discussed, these internal forces of change are the forces of change which are occurs or originate inside the organization, and the organization has control over the various factors of change. So we have to see how these internal factors force an organization to bring about changes in the organization. So we'll start with the internal forces of change. In the internal forces of change, the first point is changes in managerial personnel. What happens when there is a changes in the managerial personnel or human resources? So how does it impact the change? So we have to understand that. One of the most frequent reasons for major change in an organization is the executives at the top. So it is one of the most frequent or common situations in which there are changes in organization at the executives of the top. When the executives at the top changes, when the leadership at the top changes, obviously the organization faces change, because when there is a change in the top management, the new idea comes into place, new rules, new regulations, new behavior patterns, they come into place. So this bring about a change in the organization. So depending upon the leadership, the executives at the top level, the behavior of the organization also changes. Now, old managers are replaced by new managers, which is necessitated because of promotion, retirement, transfer, dismissal, or also maybe death or demise. So always the old managers take the new managers take the place of these old managers due to various reasons. It may be due to promotion, or it may be due to retirement of these old managers, transfer of old managers, or sometimes dismissal. Some old managers may be removed, and also sometimes some kind of accidents, death or demise or dismiss. Death or demise may be also the reasons. These are the various reasons by which new managers take the place of these old managers. When this new manager take the place of these old managers, their way of operating, their way of thinking also, and the way of behaving with the employees changes. So this brings about change in the organization. Each manager brings his own ideas and way of working in the organization. Every manager is different, even though the various guidelines under which they will operate and the mm, principles of managing the organization will be same. Their ideas and the way they operate, they completely changes, and this impacts the organization. No two managers have same styles, skills, or managerial philosophy. So this is the main reason. Since two managers do not have those same styles, skills, and the managerial philosophies, so the way of managing the things changes. This changes in managerial personnel also impacts the organization, and the organization has to also change. So this is the first factor, that internal factor that impacts an organization to change or forces an organization to change. Now the second factor is the change. Second factor is the if you continue only the first factor only, there's a other informal relationship that bring about change in the managerial process. What happens formally, their way of managing the skills, the way they operate, these things change. Informally, the relationship we have also discussed in the previous slide. However, informal relationship are also bring about changes. Sometimes, even though there is no change in personnel, but their attitude change. Even the new managers are not coming into place. Even the old managers are there. Then also the old managers with time they may be change in their attitude, change in the behavior. So this also may bring about change. As a result of the organization has to change accordingly due to all these features, due to this formally or informal change. Even if there is no change, there is changes in the attitude. All these kind of changes in the managerial personnel as a result brings a change in the organization. Changes in the managerial personnel are thus a constant pressure for change. So internally, these are one of the most constant pressure of change, because as an organization grows, as an organization develops, so the new blood comes in and the old people move out. So this is a continuous process. So it cannot be stopped till the organization exists. The organization will keep on changing due to this change in managerial personnel. So this factor puts a complete constant pressure on the organization to keep on changing with the time or changing in the managerial personnel. Now, the second point that we are going to discuss is deficiencies in the existing system. There may be certain loopholes, deficiencies, weaknesses in the existing system in the way the organization operates that is hampering the business or hampering the success of the organization. So these things has to be removed in order to make the organization more efficient and effective. So these deficiencies in the existing systems, they force the organization to bring about a change in the organization. So another internal pressure for organizational change is the loopholes in the system. Okay, the loopholes in the system. Sometimes changes are necessary because of some deficiency in the existing organizational structure, arrangement, or processes. So this existing system, when we say that deficiencies in the existing system, it highlights to three things or points out to three things. That is the existing organizational structure, means there is some problem with the structure of the organization, the hierarchy of the organization, that brings about the deficiencies in the organization or problems in the organization, in the arrangement, uh, the job descriptions, the job specification, the arrangement, and also the various processes that the organization undergoes. If there is some deficiencies in the various processes, how they operate and what are the various processes they follow, if there are problems in that, then also it will result in deficiencies in the existing system. If we look into some main deficiencies that impact the organization, so there are a lot of deficiencies that has been mentioned in the that occurs in the organization structure, arrangement, and processes, which forces an organization to change. So we'll understand each of these deficiencies. These deficiencies may be in the form of unmanageable span of management, larger number of managerial levels, lack of coordination among various departments, obstacles in communication, lack of uniformity in policy decisions, lack of cooperation between line and staff, and so on. So a lot of other deficiencies are also there, but there are some primary or main deficiencies that if they are present in the existing system, then this needs to be changed, and these deficiencies in the existing system impacts or forces an organization to change. So you'll understand by little bit by all these deficiencies. First is the unmanageable span of management. Span of management means how many people should report to a particular person. There is a particular limit under which there is no fixed rule for having the span of management, but depending upon the manager, depending upon the job, there are various factors upon which the span of management can be determined or approximated that this must be the span of management. If more load is given on the managers and the span of management is unmanageable, then there obviously will be deficiencies in the work. People will not work, human resource will not operate properly. Whatever the job is assigned to the various people will not happen properly. So this may be one of the deficiencies in the existing system. Second is larger number of managerial levels. If we divide the organization into various levels, various hierarchy, without understanding the roles of each managerial levels, there's too much division of managerial, the levels of the management will impact the organization and will cause deficiency in the organization or cause problems in the organization. Similarly, lack of coordination among various departments. There are various departments in an organization, and all these organizations, all these departments in the organization have to work in tandem. They must work as a one, and they should not be infighting between the various departments. If there is no coordination, there is conflict in between the various departments, then it will be a problem for the organization and the organization cannot go. So this lack of coordination among the various departments is also one of the causes or deficiencies that may exist in the existing system. Then obstacles in communication. Communication plays a very vital part in the operation of the organization. If the communication is not clear, if the communication is not through the proper media or not through the proper channels of communication, then there may be problems in communications or obstacles in communication. These obstacles in communication process, communication in the organization will cause a lot of problems, and there will be deficiencies in the existing system. So these also become a deficiency in the existing system, and these changes should be made in order to remove these deficiencies. Similarly, lack of uniformity of policy decisions. So whatever policy decision has to be taken, this decision has to be uniformly taken. There should not be any kind of trouble or problem with it. If there is no unanimity and there is no uniformity of the policy decisions, if the same policy decisions is not uniformly implemented for the organization, then there will be certain problems in the organization. So we have to remove this deficiency of in the existing system. Similarly, lack of cooperation between line and staff. So in every organization, mostly there is a line members and the staff members. These line members and staff members, they are always in conflict. There may be certain reasons. There are many reasons why the line and staff people are always in conflict. These things is already understood in, you must have understood in the first year, that is in principles and practices of management. We have studied this. What are the various reasons why there is lack of cooperation between line and staff, and this how this line and staff members code relations can be maintained. So this, if there is this, not lack of cooperation between these line and staff members of the organization, then the organization cannot operate properly. Therefore, this is also one of the reasons of deficiencies that exist in the system. So if any of these deficiencies that exist in the existing system, then change has to be taken place, change initiative has to be taken place in order to remove these deficiencies from the existing system. So this is very important. However, the need for change in such cases goes unrecognized until some major crisis occurs. Even though we have studied that these are the deficiencies and these are the problem areas and this should be eradicated immediately from the organization, or the change initiative should be taken in order to remove these deficiencies from the existing system. Even though we have understood this, even though we have highlighted this, often what happens is that these causes are doesn't go they go unrecognized. We do not pay much attention to them unless and until it causes a lot of problem in the organization. So this is one of the uh, problems. So these deficiencies in the existing system is very important, and these deficiencies in the existing system, in order to remove these deficiencies in the existing system, organization has to take the change initiative. Now coming to the third factor of internal factor of change is the changes in the work climate and the workforce. Similarly, changes in work climate and workforce will impact the organization, and the organization will be forced to change itself. The changes may be in the work climate, how the climate is for the work, how the work is happening in the organization, and also the changes in the workforce, the changes in human resources. These impact the force and organizations to change. So we'll understand both the thing, work climate and workforce, how the changes in work climate and workforce force an organization to bring about changes in the organization. Let us read about the changes in work climate. Changes in work climate at an organization can also stimulate change. So if there is changes in the work climate, then it may bring about or stimulate change in the organization. A workforce that seems lethargic, unmotivated, and dissatisfied is a system that must be addressed. So if an organization finds that this workforce is lethargic, unmotivated, and dissatisfied, it is a clear symptom of the problem in the organization, and this problem has to be addressed so that the organization can be more efficient and effective. This symptom is common in organizations that have experienced layoff. So what happens when the why this if already found in organizations that undergo layoff or experience layoff, they find that since there is already unmotivated, lethargic, and dissatisfied people in the organization, these people may be laid off because if they are there in the organization, they are a burden to the organization. So the organization has to take a very hard step of laying off these people. So the workers who have escaped a layoff may find it hard to continue to be productive. What happens? Those people who have just escaped this layoff, they do not find it secure enough to work in the organization. The workers who have escaped layoff, they find it hard to continue to be productive because they are always in the constant fear that anytime they may be the next people who will be removed from the organization. So this is an example in which how changes in the work climate, how the work climate changes it impacts the productivity of the people, and it requires a change in the organization. This, they may fear that they will be laid off, and as well they may feel insecure in their job. So as we have discussed also, that they may feel this fear of being laid off next, so they will not be more productive. So these changes in work climate will also bring about changes in the organization. Similarly, the changes in workforce, changes in managerial personnel. Why? When new managers join in place of retiring managers, we have already studied, due to promotion, due to dismissal, due to death, due to retire, due to transfers, all these things, new managers may be taking place. New managers may be entering the organization. So these changes in managerial position also require the organization to change its values and philosophies, because with the new blood, the new values, new ideas, new philosophies enter into the organization. Changes in operative personnel, not only the managerial personnel which are studied in point one, there also may be changes in the operative personnel, those who operate the organization, those who have key operation position in the organization. New workers who are educated, more skilled, more educated and competent. Suppose mm, like we take an example, if a company is undergoing this technology, due to this technological forces of change, it is becoming more technological by implementing new computer systems. Suppose the finance department, accounting department, they do it. All things are now computerized. So the new people who are joining, the new workers or new persons who are joining the organization, they must be equipped with the computer knowledge. Similarly, in the production process, and if they make the production process much more computerized, much more technologically advanced, we need workers who can manage these big computerized machines, or which can be managed by the having a knowledge of computers. So these new workers may be more skilled, more educated and more competent than the existing workers, those who have already joined the organization. This also required the organization to change its values, beliefs to match those who join the organization. So the organization also make changes in the policies, the values, the beliefs, in order to be integrating these new members into the organization, to new members that are joining the organization. So the changes in the operative personnel and the changes in the managerial personnel also force an organization to bring about change. There may be changes in leadership styles, motivation system to deal with the knowledge workers. So what changes has to be made in order to meet these new workers? There must be changes in the leadership styles and the motivation systems of the new people, because this will impact the organization. So changes in work climate, in workforce, they force an organization. These are the internal forces of change, and this force the organizations to bring about change in the organization. Now, another point that causes or brings about change in the organization is the declining effectiveness. If the effectiveness of the organization is declining, if the organization is no more effective and its uh, efficiency is declining, then the organization may feel that yes, some changes has to be brought in order to revive the effectiveness of the organization. Declining effectiveness is a pressure to change. A company that experiences losses is undoubtedly motivated to do something about it. Obviously, when an organization is facing a lot of huge losses, they don't want to continue with the losses. They want to bring about changes in the organization so that they will be much more profitable in the next quarter. So this company that experiences losses is undoubtedly motivated, is definitely motivated to do something about it, to bring about changes in the organization. Some companies react by instituting layoffs and massive cost cutting programs. What happens? There are two scenarios that happens when the organization's effectiveness declines. First is that some companies may react by instituting or starting huge layoffs or massive cost cutting programs in order to get more profits, in order to squeeze more profit from their output. Also, there are some other companies whereas the other view this declining effectiveness as a symptomatic of a underlying problem and seek out the cause of the problem. So they consider as a symptom, as a main reason or of an underlying problem. They consider it as a symptoms for an underlying problem. If the declining effect, there is declining of effectiveness in the organization, it may be some problem in the process in that the organization follows, or if the marketing mix or the marketing strategy of the organization is not right, of maybe the technological way in which they produce the technological advancement in the organization is not up to the mark. So these declining effectiveness can be considered as some of the is a symptoms when underlying problem. And some organization, in order to reduce this declining effectiveness, they may not revert to or to this undergoing these layoffs and massive cost cutting, but they try to seek out this problem and understand the problem and bring about changes in order to eradicate the problems. So they will not run after the layoffs and cost cutting program, but they will in fact see this problem of declining effectiveness as a symptom to a much more bigger problem, and they'll try to seek out what the bigger problem is and try to remove that problem from its root. So this declining effectiveness also forces an organization to change. Then comes internal pressures. Attitudes of employees also enforce change. Dissatisfaction with the working conditions, pay structures, interpersonal relationship reflect negative behavior towards managers. There may be dissatisfaction with the working conditions, the way the working conditions are there may not be right. The safety equipment that is given to the people, the sanitation, there may be various reasons that impacts the working conditions of the people. Similarly, the pay structures may not be right. It's not up to the industry standards, and also the interpersonal relationship between the employees and the maybe your workers may not be right. So these reflect a negative behavior towards managers. This may force the management to change their policies, procedures, and strategies. When this type of internal pressures exist, then the management has to bring about changes in their policies, their procedures, or the strategies. Suppose we say that there is dissatisfaction regarding the working conditions. The workers are not given proper safety equipment, so they are facing a lot of accidents. Then the management has to come bring about changes in the procedures to see that less workers are impacted by the accidents, and safety equipment should be provided to the workers in ample quantity so that they may be able to save themselves from all these accidents, so these mishaps. So this kind of changes in working conditions will also impact an organization to make changes in their policies, procedures, and strategies. The change is therefore enforced to develop cordial relation in the organization. So these internal pressures put an impact on the organization, and the organization is forced to bring about change in the organization. Now the last reason or the last factors of internal forces of change is the structural changes. These changes alter the existing organizational structure as well as the overall design. When we say that there is structural changes, this means the changes in the existing structure and the overall organization design. If there is a changes in this structure and overall design of the organization, then we can say this is a structural change. Structural changes may be regarded as a strategic move on the part of the organizations to improve profitability and for achieving cost advantage. Generally, organizations undergo these structural changes because of two main reasons. First, either to improve the profitability of the organization or for achieving certain cost advantages over competitor in order to be much more competitive in the market. So under these two conditions, generally the organizations they want to make undergo structural changes. These changes may be taken in the form of downsizing, job redesign, decentralization, etc. So these structural changes may be by they may be downsizing the human resources because new computerized sources, computerized patterns has been started, or they may redesign the job because the job has changed. They may change the job altogether. New specifications may be added, new responsibilities may be added in the jobs. Similarly, decentralization may be done. They may find that the centralized way of operating the organization is not much more effective, and they had to delegate authority and decentralize the organization in order to be much more effective in their processes, to be much more profitable, and to reduce the cost. So these are the ways. And if we give an example, for example, IBM introduced various reforms in the existing systems and procedures for achieving this cost effectiveness, and as opposed the downsizing strategy. So IBM introduced this, continued with this downsizing strategy, and they made this in order to be much more profitable by reducing the cost. So this is one of the examples where an organization had, due to the structural changes, this was able to change, was forced to change in the make changes in the organization. So these are the various factors, both the external and internal factors, that bring about changes in the organization, force an organizations to change. You have understood the various external and internal factors. We have discussed that. If you have any problems, no need to worry, no need to panic. You may contact me. I will be sending you the notes digitally. Prepare at home. If you have any doubts, contact me. And finally, thank you for your patience and attention.